Now, I have let y'all go a little bit.
I know you have.
I know it was getting good. That's what I was telling her. It's just it's getting too good. I don't want to cut them off. But I'll go to you.
I'll be quick, and Darren, if I could tell a quick little story for the benefit of Senator. One of your former colleagues, who's no longer in the Senate, was telling me about driving through this particular town that he always drove through coming to Little Rock when he was a Senate. And the last time he drove through there, he got stopped. He says, gosh, I didn't realize I was really going that fast. He said, I always try to do that. He goes, well, Senator, we've been wanting to stop you for years, but there's that sovereign immunity thing. And so now that you're not in the Senate anymore, we figure we can finally pull you over and give you a ticket. So I won't tell you who that is. But my question's a little different. It recently came to light from a legislative standpoint because there have been issues identified by legislative audit that were possibly criminal and been referred to prosecutors. And prosecutors, I believe, they're an unmentioned part of this system that you talked about. They have a lot of power.
Oh, that's right.
They have a lot of power to say, we're going to try this case, or we're not going to try that case. And in the case of the one I was talking about, we found some bad things that were identified by legislative auditors, and the Legislative Audit Committee voted to send it to the prosecutor. The prosecutor, well, we're not going to prosecute that because they're afraid it would hurt their batting average. That's my term. But it's more like you see too many plea bargains, partially because of prison overcrowding, and we know that's a factor. It has to enter into that. And it's the old deal of, you know, the odds of us getting a conviction on this are not that good, so we'll plea bargain it down to a lesser offense. And again, I'm not going to pick on any particular case, but all of you can probably identify cases where it might have been a felony and it's gone to a misdemeanor or something. I'm thinking, are we, by giving them, and I'm not saying, on the flip side of that coin is mandatory sentences, which create a whole other problem. We've seen it at the federal level. But do we need to have some kind of control to keep prosecutors from abusing their discretion? And if so, how would you see something that could be done to, I hate to say make them do their job, but to not take the path of least resistance, you know, not to bunt when they should swing for the fences. So
And before y'all start, I'm going back to time.
and that's not for anybody in particular.
It's pretty simple. It's not a perfect system. Anyone who thinks they can make it perfect, they're not living in reality. Go anywhere in the world, we got the best system there is. The other thing is, prosecutors stand for election like everyone else. The people who put them in there either do it because they're letting them get away, or they vote them out because they want to change. It's the best, unfortunate, best system, because I can't there's not enough of me to make a prosecutor do what I think he should do. I agree wholeheartedly. I see people walking, you got to ask yourself the question. I get involved in cases. Two people, same crime, same day, same location. One gets a good attorney, one gets a court appointment. One with a good attorney gets a less of a sentence than the other guy. It's an imperfect system. I wish it wasn't that way. I'm not giving up by no means, and I might go back and judiciary, I don't know. But it's not a perfect system, and I wish it was. Mark, I know that's probably not the answer. But
Well, it's an honest answer. Thank you.
Any of y'all would like to add on that?
Transparency.
I'm sorry.
Transparency. They unlike others, unlike even police officers or judges, there's no real record of the decisions they make, why they make them, who they're making them for or against. And I know that during the time that the state was trying to get some federal dollars what was it? Well, anyway, as a part of trying to get federal dollars, there was a part of it was doing some racial profiling, and there was an effort to incorporate the prosecutorial discretion and have them documented. So we're not going to say what you're doing is wrong, but you know, you are a part of the accountable government to the people. So let's have a database to show how many plea bargains you make, what kind of cases they are, who they are. Are they wealthy people? Are they young people? Are they old people? Are they more men than women? Let's show what you're doing and how you make your judgments, and they don't want to do that. But it's transparency. And the system isn't, well, I think the system is perfect. I think the people aren't. But it can always be better. That's why you guys elect us. Otherwise, you don't need us.
Representative Gray, would you like to add on? Or?
No, and I just, well, yeah. I get frustrated. I've had an issue with a foster care child over the past few months, and nothing has gone my way, the way that I had hoped it would go, and I fought all the way up to the very top on this whole issue. But essentially I had a biological parent who had broken arms of an infant and had admitted to it, and they are working on, DCFS is working on putting that child back in that home. And so one of my questions was this not ever turned over to the prosecuting attorney? So, I never got an answer. So I called the prosecuting attorney from the area where this happened, which was actually not in my district at the time. Never heard of it. Never seen it. And this is outside the area of an actual prosecutor, but I get so frustrated too sometimes that our own government that's supposed to protect us doesn't even do their job. And I was told by an employee of the DHS system, when I asked about was it sent to the prosecutor, they wouldn't give me an answer. Well, but even if it had been, they didn't know, they'd have to go look and pull the file. I heard that 15 times, and you're not cutting me off.
Well, you are my rep.
That's
so.
right. But Eve, I can't believe you admitted, that I was your rep. See how you got me sidetracked.
But he's your constituent.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm proud to say that. I'm surprised
He
you
votes,
the other way.
Should have put a bridge over me or something.
But no, that person told me that even if we send it to the prosecutor, it's their discretion. And so she went into an example of how at one point in time they'd sent something to the prosecutor, but the prosecutor didn't think he had quite enough evidence to get the case. Stop 10 years later, they came back with new evidence and were able to convict. But you can't try a crime twice, so because they didn't do it the first time, they were able to do it the second time. That's the biggest bunch of crap I've ever heard. But I had to sit there and listen to one of the highest people in our DHS system tell me how the system works.
Michelle,
So I don't know what to do about it, but I'm very frustrated.
While a prosecutor, by law, by the Constitution, has some discretion, many of those DHS employees do not.
But
They are mandatory reporters, and there may be a crime there that because they didn't. They don't have the right to make that decision, is my point, under the law.
And I agree with that, but they are making that decision, but they are making those judgment calls within the ID. You guys agree with that? They are making that, and that's one of the things that I say we're going to change the world when we got here, and it's going to take a while. We'll flush it out and get there. And that's just one thing I can commit to. I can commit to making it
Let
better.
me add one more thing though.
30 seconds.
But so when we start talking about being more consistent in the application of the law and having stronger standards to the law, that sounds great. But one thing that we don't realize is how pervasive some of these crimes are. And it's not just the poor or those who are on drugs. So when you start talking about all these kids who are being, I know you've seen the DCFS reports about how many children are being abused. Sexual abuse is off the chain. And so that means that it's not just poor people. And so when you start looking at those numbers in counties all over the state, it's blanket. It's black, white, poor, rich, poor. There are so many kids that are being molested that if we prosecuted all of them, you'd be shocked how many people in your community are perpetrators of it or watch it happen and don't say anything.
And here's the sad part. You try to create a law to change that, it's almost impossible. I'll give you a good example. You have level 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
Level 1 through 4, if you can believe this, can buy a ticket and go to a grade school basketball game unsupervised, but they can't live within 1,000 feet or 2,000 feet of a school. Isn't that crazy? A system. So you'd think, okay, 3 and 4, the lesser, 1 and 2 is bad. They're going to repeat. So let's just take 3 and 4 and say they can't go. Couldn't get it through. Couldn't get it out of our committees. So the whole, I don't know.
Just throw it out the window, throw your phone out.
That's what she's been trying to do.
Just throwing this stuff, I mean, I get so frustrated. You know, in the state of Arkansas, I'll be real brief, we changed the law 2 years ago, actually I guess it's 4, that if a child reaches the age of 27 and they've been molested, that the statute of limitation runs out on them reporting that at the age of 27. The state of Arkansas had that. Federal law says there's no statute of limitation, but federal law, it's a different story. You'd think that'd be an easy one? A young man that was a brain surgeon went back home and he found the guy who molested him was coaching the kids. And his brother's an attorney, and these 2 kids get together, 2 young men get together, come to the representative and say, can we change this law? It almost failed. This is a brain surgeon and a lawyer said they did it to us when we were kids, and they're now up in the 30s. The only thing that prosecuted the guy was, he took the young man that was attorney, took him to Lake Millwood, which went 3 miles over in the state of Texas, which violated a federal law, and he's serving time today. That's the only reason that you would have thought on the House end, when that went through, people were getting up and walking out when it come time to vote to not pass that law that says their statute of limitation is unlimited if you molested a child. So that's the kind of things that we're confronted with when you start trying to change some of these laws. It's not easy.
Yeah.